Alright, welcome back to another BiddoBam reaction video. Today we've got something on why each survivor was chosen. It's another low video. He doesn't really seem to do gameplay anymore, and that's okay. I don't really have an issue with that. Uh, so yeah, I mean, there's really not that much to it. So let's just hit play.
Hello, everybody. We know a lot of how the survivors ended up in the Constant and roughly what they were doing before arriving here, but how about today we look at why the survivors are here in the first place? Why them over anybody else in the world? It's only explicitly said for very few
It's
survivors, so I'm going to explore
usually
some of my theories.
it's usually pretty, associated with William Carter and O. Maxwell, depending on how you want to phrase it. So that's usually the tie-in. Pretty much everyone in some way is connected to him. Wally's the one that I could think of that doesn't really make any sense. But oops, I'm so sorry. I misinput. I'm so
And
unprofessional.
reasonings for this merry band of idiots being dragged here. Let's start from the top and in chronological order with Wilson. You'd think, since he's the poster boy and pseudo main character of this game, that we'd know the most about him. Well, sadly, we've not been told explicitly why Maxwell chose to bring Wilson to the Constant, but I do have a theory. Hear me out. I feel like either Maxwell or the shadowy influence controlling them prey on people who are not as mentally or emotionally stable as the average person. Be it that they're easier to trick and influence into the Constant, or perhaps they have an increased sensitivity to whatever powers that may be which dwell within the Constant.
I mean,
To
yeah,
cycle
this
this back
seems
to
pretty
Wilson, I feel
valid
like he
so
was
far.
chosen by Maxwell since he sees himself as some kind of underappreciated great scientist. And to his credit, man can do some science. But his
At least in
willingness
the
to,
constant.
and I quote, conquer this world with the power of his mind is probably the exact amount of insane that the Shadows need in their domain. So they dangled the carrot of forbidden knowledge for him. As to why the Shadows would want somebody like that in the Constant to begin with, perhaps they feed off emotions and strife. The Shadow monsters manifest when a
What
character
a
themselves
terrible
is
idea.
struggling with insane thoughts, so I think it's a somewhat healthy connection to make. Or maybe it could be something as simple as Maxwell knowing Wilson would free him from the Nightmare Throne.
True.
But that entirely depends on what state Maxwell was in during the time of the whole snatching people on the surface. Let me know what you think about that.
I think that's a pretty reasonable assessment to make as to why Wilson, at the very least, was chosen. Uh, if that logic of mentally vulnerable in one way or another would apply, then I guess, Wally's my weird oddball to me. Uh, I suppose, if his grandma's in such a poor state, he's probably not doing that great mentally either, so I don't know. It's not 100% clear to me yet, but let's keep watching.
That was a somewhat long-winded one. Next up we have Willow.
Well, you
Now we
accept
know
your
for a
craft work. It's
fact that
okay.
Willow was working with or for the Shadows, not before being lambasted by them when she was a child. Her rampant pyromania could have been either planted there by the Shadows when she was young, so they could use her as an instrument of whatever wicked scheme when she grew up. So what does any of this have to do with why Willow ended up in the Constant? I feel like if we used the same reasoning as Wilson, we could gauge that she was such an extreme source of emotion, ready to perform as a pawn of the Constant. Or we could view it from a different lens that will apply to a lot of the characters in this list. The Shadows didn't want a part of their influence and power running free around in the real world, and dragged Willow to the Constant where they could both keep her a secret and in
I
control.
kind of like that second idea a little bit better. Uh, there is a point earlier on that I should have just reacted to, on the moment. But when he says that, oh, what was it? That the nightmares, they're trying to cause whatever wickedness. That's what it was exactly. I don't honestly think that the nightmares have that much care about things in the real world. Like, it's not really that big of a deal. Like, maybe they'd love to expand there, but that's kind of, whatever. Uh, I don't think they or trying to like cause pain overtly in the real world by any means. Well, outside of for Willow, I guess. I don't know. I might just be unfamiliar with the look. That's just the gauge I've gotten from them. They just kind of seem like things that are there, at least in the constant, not necessarily active, hostile things. I mean,
Speaking
they
of
are literally
characters kept in
hostile,
the
but
constant as a loose end, we have
you know what I
Wolfgang.
mean.
In his animated short, we see that William Carter, aka Maxwell,
Yeah,
infuses Wolfgang with some
we do
wicked
see
shadow
this.
magic to help him
It
rescue him from the
could,
train car he was stuck underneath.
you know, if we follow the Willow hypothesis, the second one, then maybe I'm jumping the gun a little bit on the video here, but it could just be kind of a similar thing. Oh, someone's been involved with the shadows, so now they kind of have to
The
go.
shadow magic he used was probably bound to Wolfgang, or even something as simple as Wolfgang saw what the shadows were capable of, which led Maxwell to, many years later, as a pawn of the shadows, drag Wolfgang into the constant, either to
Yep.
keep another loose end tied up, or prey on his desire to be strong and mighty, or because he's a big baby who gets scared easily.
I mean, yeah, I think both are. Oh my God, Ash has his cursor. Look right there, right there. There's another cursor. I can't believe he left that on the screen right there. I'm gonna have to get a screenshot of that. Anyways, but yeah, I think both are pretty reasonable, especially the possibility of kind of preying on him, because that's kind of what happened with Wilson. He was preying on his, desire to prove his worth intellectually, and so preying on Wolfgang's desire to prove his strength is pretty much the exact same thing. Might also tie up a loose end if that theory is to come along
Either
as
or.
well. I think
So,
both are pretty
Wendy.
valid
I feel
interpretations.
like she falls in the category of Wilson in a way, where she's in the constant because she'd be easier to string along, except replace owning the world with science with a chance to meet your long lost sister again. I
Yeah.
don't know and don't expect Wendy to have any psychic connections with the undead before she was taken to the constant, but it is something to consider. Oh, but we are forgetting something. She is Maxwell's niece. Say what you want
True.
about Maxwell and how evil he may be, but I don't see him dragging his own family into this mess he played a big part in creating. Willingly, that is. So it's possible that Wendy was brought to the constant by the shadows because of her connections with Maxwell, as
Yeah,
some kind of punishment towards him. Or
I don't think Maxwell is 100% involved in all of these, because the shadows definitely have a mind of their own. But yeah, I definitely agree. It's probably just another luring them in via their desires. In this
maybe even
case,
to
to meet their
elicit a
dead sister.
response from him. Keep in mind, Maxwell also doesn't recognize Wendy and vice versa. And as we'll see later, Maxwell
little
isn't above
strange
just
to me,
dragging random children into the constant.
True.
Next up, we have WX-78. Why are they in the constant? Because
They're
they
an
were forced here
abomination.
by Wagstaff.
But yeah,
Most
no,
likely. We see them falling backwards
definitely
into
just
the constant
Wagstaff
as a
posting
certain
it.
Wagstaff looks on menacingly in their animated short. So it's safe to assume that they either fell in after a confrontation or was forced in by
I'm
Wagstaff,
guessing Faustin.
who we know has a fascination with the constant, probably as some experiment that WX wasn't too keen on taking part of. But how about we consider if that is exactly what WX wanted to be a part of? What if it wasn't a confrontation, and maybe WX entered on their own free will? A perfect body designed in their image for the ultimate goal of whatever WX plans on
Destruction.
doing with the moon magic. Not trust them over Wagstaff any day. What do you think? Do you think WX shared a common goal with Wagstaff, knew about the powers that be in the constant, and wanted them for themselves? Let me know in the comments.
I doubt
also,
it.
while you're down there, consider dropping a like or a
but
sub if you've been enjoying
Maybe,
this.
I guess.
Wicker bottom time.
I'm sorry, did he just do a plug for his like he wanted us to like and subscribe? Okay, that's I can't keep watching this video then. I don't want to just make this so short, so I will I'll pull up a new game at the very least. I have played it a bit, so there's some data here just for the record. But really, this shouldn't be too bad. This is Scorpiolac. It's a platformer. I guess you probably call it an action game. You can use your little spear to poke the enemies as well as the red barrels. It's not terribly complex. It's kind of like a classic type of game. Very, I'm guessing Contra-like, but I don't actually know. I've never played it. But it was just kind of like a classic type of game that you'd see on various flash gaming websites. But honestly, the more interesting part about it than just the gameplay itself, which is, it's good. I think it's a fun little game. It's not terribly complex. It's a bit challenging, I will say, to get the grasp of, especially in some of the later levels. But I think the most interesting part about this game to me is actually the developer behind it, which is Eric, spelled EIRI. Oh gosh, that was close. And by close, I mean I just got hit, so that was actually close. Yeah, so like, I don't know, Iric, I guess, is technically how you'd say it if you wanted to be super English about it. But yeah, by Iric, Suhkre, which I don't know how you'd pronounce that at all. Sucre? Something like that. Who is one of the main developers of a lot of the games in an upcoming game coming out very soon called UFO 50, which, if you wait like maybe a few more days, you'll probably see a video on my main channel about that, rather than this, you know, this one in particular. Not that there's anything wrong with this channel, it's just it wouldn't make sense to have it here. But yeah, UFO 50 is a, for those interested, it's a, ooh, oh come on. Oh my gosh, I died? Okay, well, that's fine. But yeah, it's a mashup pack type thing. If you're familiar with, you know, apparently the Angry Video Game Nerd, I've never actually watched his stuff myself. Surprisingly, it really feels like something I would have watched. But I just never got into him, I guess. It's very much like Action 52 in concept, purely in concept, not in execution. Because there's, well, 50 games, hence the number in the title, and they're all like actually fleshed out, well-crafted, actually good games, at least, you know, good as far as objectively good as you can get. Obviously, you know, lots of things up to user interest and whatnot. But that's the beauty of it. You got 50 games, tons of varying genres. It's great. And as I said, you know, this Eric fella, he made this game as well as quite a few. As well as, damn, being part of quite a few of the projects in UFO 50, all of which are pretty interesting, in my opinion. Gotcha. What is that? Clack noise. So yeah, I feel like this is a good, you know, example piece. Some may argue that a better choice would be like Mooncats, and So the Mooncats, rather, is the full name of the owl. And So the Mooncats is the full name of the only other game he's made. Damn, on itch.io. I do believe he's probably made other games, but that is a pure platformer, basically. I guess you could probably call it an adventure too, but it's very short. There's really not much. That was terrible damage. But yeah, it was also quite a fun game, and that game in particular is actually getting a fully fleshed out. I don't know if you call it like a remake or remaster. I'd basically just call it the full game, basically. That was bad. In UFO 50, which is very good because I played that one just because, well, I heard that it was like the only game that we have a thing of. Although to be fair, one of the ones by Derek Yu, who's arguably more notable of a person that's involved in that project. I should just go above, honestly. It's not worth killing that little fly. Pathetic. I'll get through here eventually. Yeah, one of Derek Hughes' games, I do believe, has a precursor of sorts that is publicly available. But honestly, that one doesn't look too interesting to me. So, don't really plan on touching it. Outside of the actual pack itself of UFO 50. I need to get that bonus because I'm pretty confident that that area down there has a bonus, some bonus points hidden. Not even bonus points, I think it's just lives. I guess I really just need to stop wasting so much time elsewhere. Yeah, there we go. With the extra 3 lives. Usually those hidden barrels have the extra 3. Gotcha. Wow, I had my fingers just on the wrong place, and so I died again. Yeah, UFO 50, very much an exciting game for me. I'm hopeful that I can get some more people interested via this little bit, even if it's only a few people. Because, you know, it's a really exciting game to finally be coming out after like 7, 8 years in development. It looks really good in a lot of the games. It's like a ton of fully fleshed out concepts. I know it's going to be ripe with secrets and whatnot, which everyone loves that, for one. And I mean, there's various just raw adventure games. There's probably at least a Metroidvania, you know. There's even an Isle game. Ooh, that was a tight dodge. There we go, got through this one. I'll do one more stage of this. Man, I'm missing that, like, one little dot at the start. I don't know where that came from. Whatever. Move on to the next stage. Yeah, I enjoy Scorpiolac. I don't enjoy getting hit immediately. But I think it's a pretty fun little game. I don't know if it's going to have any influence on UFO 50 whatsoever. In fact, I'm going to guess probably not that much. I mean, maybe a little bit. Because it doesn't really seem... From what we've seen, we do know what literally, at least a little bit of every game in the series. That was an amazing shot by him. We know what every game, at least sorta, what they're gonna be about. We got a genre basically for everything, so you can kind of. Where was I going with that? Oh yeah, you can kind of gauge like how relevant something like this would be, and I don't know, maybe there will be some influence on something. Like, I don't know, I could see one of the, in fact, the last game in the package called Cyber Owls. It kind of, aesthetically, I could see it being, or rather, because of its aesthetics, I could kind of see it being related. Kind of the same with Vango, but I really don't think Vango he's going to be like this at all, because Vango really seems like it's going to be more Metroidvania, which does seem pretty interesting. 3 hits, I didn't realize. Here's the bonus lives. Nice and easy. Yeah, I'd recommend looking into UFO 50 yourself. Like I said, I'll be making a video on my main channel. I mean, it wouldn't be very hard to find, but I'm not going to say it here for the funny. Gotcha. Mid-air snipe. Oh, there's 2 on this level. How fun. Just covering what are, like, my personal most excited for games. Vango is one of them. It looks fun. I mean, it also has elements that seem to be kind of borrowed from VVV, which a classic platformer right there. Involves gravity flipping, and it's basically a puzzle game in a sense sometimes. Gotcha. I can just one cycle in there, nice. That always looks fun. Mooncats, as I said, also I'm looking forward to a lot. Just, I mean, it's by Eric, so heavily by Eric. Seems like this guy's hard to. Right, there we go. Oh! Ah. It's so challenging. Or maybe I'm just bad. I don't know. I've beaten this before, but it was a good few days ago. Oh damn! I one cycle him. He didn't even let him dash. Okay. Gotta duck, cover, and whatnot. I'm not gonna do anything silly. I might do something silly. I want to kill this guy, so I have space to stand, and then I'll jump up here, and then kill him. Alright. And I'm 99% sure you just can't get extra lives again, so I'll just keep moving. Gotcha. I do wonder. Oh, there is secret. Moreover, extra lives. Appreciate it. It does stand out a bit. I hope there's any level close to this in depth in some of the UFO 50 games. Because, God, I mean, while the games themselves, they one-shot, okay? They one-shot. They look really good already. I mean, even just not caring about anything secondary. But, man, they got secrets. It's gonna be crazy. And with Derek Yu working on it, honestly, I'd be most surprised if there aren't any secrets. Because, come on, have you seen Spelunky? It's jam-packed. Especially the second one, but even the first had a ton. I mean, you had Eggplant. Classic. Took forever for people to figure out what the hell to do with that. Which was very funny to me. In retrospect, it was probably very unfortunate in the past, but in the second game, the Eggplant was a lot more clear-cut. Arguably. There's like one thing that was a little less obvious, but it was really just, if you pay attention, you'll get it. Do I get the cycle? Maybe I was probably doing it wrong. Yeah, there we go. Got it. And now I can just hold down for a little, and it's no issue here. I think it's pretty free from you. But yes, you know, Spelunky. I guess there was the worm in Spelunky 1. I don't know, there wasn't that much more. The Eggplant was really the big secret. Everything else was too complicated. The worm really was the least clear. But yeah, I think you should look into UFO 50. I'll throw a Google Doc of all the games and some of the stuff, but mostly all the games in the description, so you can get a picture of what they all look like if you want. Otherwise, if you don't want to do that, you can go check out my main channel. Obviously, it's rolling away. You'd never guess. And I should have a video about what I'm really looking forward to in a few days, probably. I've been working on it pretty hard ish, not really. Uh, but I'm probably about a third way done editing at this point. So, and it's not that long, so it shouldn't take too much longer. So yeah, you can wait for that, or check out the doc and make up your own mind, or maybe do both if you're interested. Regardless, I think you should check it out. There's bound to be some kind of game you like in there. Uh, I I would be shocked if this game costs more than $30 as well. So you're probably going to be getting a steal, uh, relatively, for this amount of games. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's less than $30, honestly. My bet's on 20, frankly, because I believe that's what Spelunky 2 goes for. Might be wrong, it might be more like 15. But yeah, I think you ought to look into this, find something you're interested in, probably multiple things. Regardless, I hope you enjoyed this reaction video, and I'll see you in the next one, I guess. I don't know. Goodbye.